height. Okay, looks good. And Gomit MPX. Okay, so the program consists of two modules executed sequentially, right? And this is the pure theory that is there in this probability theory. Like in textbook, this is the theory. Pure theory is there. That I am not reading textbook, but I read it on Get Forum. That this is the pure theory. If we have two kind of a model, or let's say running like sequentially or parallelly, parallel is also there. But I forgot like what was the formula. Uh, okay, it was, I guess, max of something like that. But let's see what's the question is. So what they are saying is a program consists of two modules. Okay, module one and module two, and F1T and F2T respectively denote the probability density function. Okay, it's a PDF for given time t, time taken to execute the two modules, right? So what this program is taking the time PDF, it's F1T and F2T for the second program. Okay, now what they are saying is the probability density function for the overall time taken to execute the program is given by. Okay, the main thing that we need to consider is sequentially, right? Because we are not doing this parallelly, right? So first this module will run, then this module will run, right? So it's sequentially basically. Now what's the time taken by our program, right? How to denote that f of t, right? So t is nothing but the time, and f of t will give you the pdf value at given time t, right? So our random variable here is nothing but the time taken to run the program. Now they are asking for the whole program. What is the answer, right? So it is the sheer you can say theory, but let me try to make some sense, because even I was struggling to understand the formula, so I just got this kind of a beautiful this thing example. Let's say I want to find out, let's assume t equal to 4, 4 millisecond, 4 second, like that. Now, in how many ways like this 4 second can be there, right? I said like my program, total program took 4 second. So it is possible that my first program completed in 0 second, right? It didn't run basically. And second program took all 4 second, or my first program or module basically took 1 second, and the second finished in 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4, 0, like that. And there are infinite float value that you can think of: 1.2, 3.8, 1.5, 2.5, like that. Okay, so there are infinite values, so you can't sum up all these possible values. So you need to take the integration. Whenever something is continuous, not a discrete, that you cannot take the summation, right? Simple discrete summation. It is nothing but the integration. So what we are doing is, so now let's what you can say, replace all this value with the t, or generalize this formula. So it will look something like this: f of t, the time taken by the my whole program, the pdf function, it should be small f. It's 0 to t, I need to go from 0 to t, so 0 to 4 basically. And it's f of x, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, into f of t minus x. So 4 minus 0, 4, 4 minus 1, 3, 4 minus 2, 2, 4 minus 3, 1, 4 minus 4, 0, like that. So I'm going from 0 to 4, all the possible value that is there at the interval of dx tends to 0, right? So there are infinite values that can be done like from 0 to 4, right? So this is the formula, the time taken, or the pdf function for the total program. If two programs are running sequentially and f1x and f2x are there, this thing pdf, right? I guess now this formula makes sense, right? Because if you think taking the example, then definitely it makes sense. Okay, any doubt? I guess it should not be. If you have, please feel free to ask. I'm afraid to answer. But this is C is the answer basically. Okay. Mm,
Mayur, I have a question, but related to
yes,
this.
yes.
But how many questions that the people have given us? The team. Is it
Uh,
only 53 questions, or we have any other set?
This 53 questions, and we have one more PDF. And basically, there are around 50 questions there. And out of 50, you can say 30 or 40 are theoretical only. So there are like 8 to 10 numericals are there that we will see for sure.
Okay, there are two PDFs and one is 50 and one is 53, right?
Yes, one is around 50 and one is 53, exact 53. Because they removed some of the questions, erroneous questions, that's why.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Let's take the next question. Question number 22. Easy one. As like appetizer, now we have. If a fair coin is tossed four times, right? So we are doing four toss. Virat Kohli is doing four toss. What is the probability that two heads and two tails will result? Right. So what is the probability that two head will result or two tail will result? Is the same, right? So what they are saying is this is the proper binomial formula, right? Proper binomial distribution question, right? Now it should be easy because we have solved like so many binomial question. So I am tossing a for like coin four times. So out of four I need two heads. So 4c2 ways are there multiplied by what is the probability of head? It's nothing by 1 by 2. And what is the probability of tail? It's nothing by 1 by 2. So just put directly 1 by 2 raised to n, right? Because x plus n minus x is nothing but n only, right? So you can directly write this because if the probability of success and failure is similar, then ultimately you will get n here, right? So there is no need to write two heads and three tails. So it's nothing but 2 plus 3 5, right? So n is equal to 5 basically. In another example, not in this example, it's 4 in this example, right? Because we are doing the coin toss four times. Right, so if the probability is same, you can save your time by doing this, right? So it should be nothing but 6 divided by 8 is nothing but not 6 divided by 16. No, Bedu Chardu Andu so 16. So 3 by 8 should be the answer. Yes. Easy one. Let's go to next. Two n bit binary string S1 and S2 are chosen randomly with the uniform probability. Great. The probability that the Hamming distance between these strings, the number of bit positions where two strings differ is equal to d is. So what's the probability that it differs at d locations, right? Hamming distance we all know. Given two string, just find out like where it is different. If it is different at here, 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 just count like how many difference are there. It's nothing but the Hamming distance. And they are saying what is the probability that Hamming distance is equal to d. So what we need to find out is out of n location, we can choose any random bit d that is different. So what is the probability that that bit is different? So it's what they are saying is uniform probability, right? Uniform. So it's 1 by 2, 1 by 2. If it is same, it's again 1 by 2. If it is not same, it is again 1 by 2. Right? So 1 by 2 raised to n directly we can write. And if you want to go like a long approach, so or proper approach, so it's 1 by 2 raised to d. D bits are same and n minus d bits are not same. So 1 by 2 raised to n minus d. So if you just take multiplication of it, d and d will cancel out, and what is left is nothing but n only. Right? So NCD divided by 2 raised to n. This would be the answer. I am saying it like quite confidently, but if it is wrong, then I would be like very embarrassing. But yes, this is the answer. I guess you are getting this right. These all are simple binomial questions. Today in session also we had that binomial question that CDF binomial, right? I just forgot about that, which was the question, but it was really good. Just a second. That 2600 family and four children each. What's the probability that one or two of them are girls, right? Suppose we uniformly and randomly select a permutation from the 20 factorial, the most trickiest question I believe, 1 to 3 up to 20. What is the probability that 2 appears at an earlier position than any of other okay even number in the selected permutation? Right, so what we need to do is, out of all the even numbers, so 1 to 20, we have 10 even numbers, right? 10 even numbers. The 2 should be at the first location, right? Earlier position than any other even number. So here the 9 remaining 9 numbers can be anywhere, right? 4, 6, 8, 10, anywhere. But 2 should be like earlier than any of them, right? So what is the probability, right? So if it is the case, we can forget about the odd number, right? I can sprinkle odd number at anywhere between or after, like that, because we just talk about this thing. 2 should be there in the earlier position than even number. 2 can be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 9 or 11, right? 2 cannot be at 12, uh, correct, because I cannot put all 9 number after that, if I put 2 at 12. So let's not talk about that. What we care about is just this 10 numbers arrangement, right? So how many ways I can arrange this all 10 numbers? 10 factorial. And if I choose, like if I fix the 2 here, then how many ways I can see this 2 should be fixed, no? So favorable outcomes I'm counting. So I can arrange these 9 numbers in 9 factorial way. Any doubt? So this 10 factorial can be written as 10 into 9 factorial. So this will cancel out, this will cancel out. So I have 1 by 10. So answer is B. Correct? Any doubt? Because what they are saying is 10 even numbers earliest position, so probability of to become the earliest is simply 1 by 10. Okay, this is also a good, you can say, reasoning, that every number is equally likely to be there at that position. So like, if I choose number 2, the probability that it is in the earlier position, right, in out of 10 position, if it is at earlier position, is nothing but 1 by 10. Okay, that makes sense, but not deep. So let's jump on to next question, and this kind of question can be there, because this can be tricky also if you don't draw the graph properly, right? Aishwarya studies either computer science or mathematics every day. Cool. Either computer or mathematics. So there is no third option, or there is no like fourth option also to don't study either computer or mathematics. Sorry, neither computer nor mathematics. So you need to study either computer or mathematics, right? So there is no third option. If she studies and see, just a tip, like think about all the possible ways, because it is like in bias theorem or anything, to convert that total law of probability, the we need to consider all the cases, right, possible, right? So if we miss one of the cases, then it's like troublesome. Okay, so studies either computer or mathematics, there no third option. If she studies computer science on a day, okay, so if computer science on a day, then the probability that she studies mathematics on the next day is zero point 0.6. So first computer science, then mathematics is zero point 0.6. Cool. If she studies the mathematics on a day, okay, mathematics is done. Then where I go? Then the probability that she studies computer science the next day is zero point 0.4. Right. So maths to computer science is zero point 0.4. So okay, given that the Aishwarya studies computer science on Monday she studies computer science. What is the probability? So this is fixed, right? This is fixed. What is the probability that she studies computer science on Wednesday? So this is also kind of a fix that we need to calculate on the Wednesday. So what about Tuesday, right? So we need to talk about all both the two cases. So if like she studies on computer science, that's for sure, right? Now it is possible that she studies mathematics on Tuesday or computer science on Tuesday. There are two cases, right? Just a second. Huh. Right, and on Wednesday she is studying computer science. Right. So if she studies computer science on Monday, what's the probability that she studies mathematics on Tuesday, next day? 6.6. It's given, right? So what would be this probability that computer science on the same day and computer science on the next day also, Monday and Tuesday? Anyone? Let's copy paste. Let's try to be interactive as yesterday. Anyone, guys, feel free to unmute. This is not admit.
Point four.
Point four, yes, right? Because this is an exclusive event, right? If she studies computer science, then it's 60% chance that she studies mathematics. So implicitly, there are 40% chance to study computer science, right? Because there is no other third option. Correct? Any doubt? So if she studies mathematics on same day, or like today, so tomorrow, what is the probability that she will study mathematics? Mathematics to mathematics, it's nothing but zero point 0.6. Correct? 1 minus zero point 0.4. But I guess we don't need that. Yes. Hello. Okay. Yes. So this is what we are calculating. So computer science, say studies computer science on Monday or Tuesday. There are two options: maths and computer science. So what is the probability that she studies computer science on Wednesday? Right. So we just completed this part, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.4. So this is also given. Maths to computer science is zero point 0.4 and computer science to computer science we just calculated it's zero point 0.4. Right. Now how to calculate the total probability or the probability that computer science studies computer science on Wednesday, right? So it's nothing but there are two cases, right? So we need to take it one by one. So probability of case one, that's nothing but computer science on Wednesday given maths on Tuesday. So there we have two quests, right? Maths on Tuesday and computer science on Tuesday. So we need to consider both the cases. It's as similar as like we have two factories and we need to choose one of them like that, right? So we have two cases: computer science on Tuesday and maths on Tuesday. So let's take one case and we need to calculate this probability of A or probability that computer science on Wednesday. So it's given Monday on Tuesday, sorry, maths on Tuesday, probability that maths is on Tuesday, probability that computer science on Wednesday, given computer science on Tuesday and computer science on Tuesday, the total probability. Now we know all the probability. This conditional probability is zero point 0.4, right? It is nothing but this thing. This conditional probability is also zero point 0.4, so this is cool. Probability that maths on Tuesday, so it's nothing but this thing, zero point 0.6. And maths on CS on Tuesday, it's nothing but zero point 0.4, zero point 0.4. Right, so if you work out the maths, it's nothing but zero point 0.4. Okay, any questions, guys? Okay, just a second. Ah, okay, next question. Okay, so now like full attention because this is like very tricky one and so many data we have here. So unbalanced dice is unbalanced. Okay, this is kind of a Sakonish dice with six faces numbered 1 to 6 is thrown. Okay, so we have 1 2 6. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now the probability that the face value is odd is 90% of the probability that the face value is even, right? So the probability, what they are saying is probability of being odd number, right, is 90%. 90% is nothing but zero point 0.9 of probability that it is of even. Any confusion by writing this formula? No, right? 90% of the probability that the face value is even. So probability of 135 is zero point 0.9 of probability of 246, right? The probability of getting any even numbered face is the same. So the probability of getting 2, 4 and 6 is similar, right? So there is it is unbalanced dice, but the weight at 2 4 and 6 is similar, so the probability of getting 2 4 6 is also same, right? So okay, that we know. Okay, this is one data that we may need. The probability of the phase is even Given that it is greater than 3 is 0.75. So what they are asking is probability that the face is even given that it is greater than 3, right? So given that it's greater than 3, it's nothing but 4, 5 and 6. If I say like I have 4, 5 and 6, then the probability that it's even, right? So even it's nothing but 4 and 6 only, right? 4 and 6 is 0.75. Cool. Okay. Now, next, which one of the following option is closest to the probability that the face value x is 3? So, what we need to calculate is that probability that x is greater than 3. Okay, so say if you think intuitively, they have given it is as the condition that if it is greater than or equal to 3, probability of getting 4 and 6 is 0.75, right? And now let's see how we can solve that. And probability of 2, 4 and 6 is similar, that's for sure. Now this 4 and 6, what is the probability of 4 and 6? That is easy to calculate. Okay, we just need to calculate what is the probability of 5, right? And we can add everything and we can get the answer. So let's see how we can solve it step by step, right? So this is given 246 is similar x and 135 is point 0.9 of x. Point 0.9 of even number, right? I just take this I just assume that probability of even number is x, then probability of odd is 90% of the even, so it's point 0.9 x, right? Now this x plus point 0.9, if I take all the total probability 1.9, it should 1.9 x should be 1, right? Because it can be either 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So x is nothing but 1 divided by 1.9. And you can leave it as it is, because at the end we will need the value of x, that we then we can apply this trick, right? Okay, next, what they have seen is, what they are saying is, if it is greater than 3, that means 4, 5 or 6, the probability of getting even number is 75%, right? If it is greater than or equal to 3, then probability of getting face is even number is 0.75. So indirectly they have given that the probability of getting 4 and 6 is 75% if it is greater than 3. If it is greater than 3, I just have to this two even number, right? So now I can take this kind of a ratio that if x is even, given probability of x greater than 3, its probability of 4 and 6 given x greater than 3, like I have only two even numbers, 0.75. And if x is odd, that means probability of x equal to 5 given x greater than 3 is 0.25. I can write this, right? Now what I will do, the probability, and what they are asking is what is the probability that x is greater than or equal to 3, right? Greater or equal to 3, right? I guess it is value x is 3, greater than 3, right? So it's nothing but probability of getting 4, probability of getting 5 and probability of getting 6. Correct? Any doubt till now, guys? Because now things are going to be crazy. Okay. Now, now I am going to use this ratio, right? So the ratio, that probability, the probability of getting 5, it's nothing but 0.25, and probability of getting 4 or 5, it's nothing but 0.75. So I can take the ratio of equation 1 and equation 2. Nobody can can tell me that I cannot, right? We can do that. So p of 5 divided by p of 4 plus 5 is nothing but 1 by 3, 25% upon 75%, 1 by 3, right? Now this formula will be very useful, that probability of 2, 4 and 6 are x, and everything is similar. Probability of getting 2, 4 and 6 are similar, that they have given, right? The probability of getting any even number is same. So what is the probability of 4? X by 3. 6 x by 3. 2 x by 3. So let me put this value. This value I know x by 3. This value I know x by 3. Right? So x by 3 plus x by 3 is 2x by 3. If I take it this side, it would be 2x divided by 3. So I get 2x divided by 9. What is the probability of 5? It's nothing but 2x divided by 9. This was the only missing puzzle piece, right? So we know like what is the probability of 5 now. So I can put it here, right? So what is the probability of 4? X by 3. This is x by 3. This is 2x by 9, right? So if I sum it all, I get 2x divided by 9, right? Now, and see, if you prefer to use all the real value number, you can directly write probability of 4 is nothing but x divided by 3, that is nothing but 1.1 divided by 0.1.9 multiplied by 3, like that. Correct, you can put the values directly, but I prefer to solve everything using x, so like it's easy. Now the final answer I got is 8x divided by 9. Now I will put the value of x. It's nothing but 1 divided by 1.9. So you get the answer, that probability that it's greater or equal, greater than 3, not greater or equal to, it's 0.468 or 46.8%. Right. Now if you solve it again, then it will feel like a small problem, but the how we interpret it, it's the main idea, right? That's the hardest thing to do it here.
So, Mayur, can you please go to the solution? Why did you take the ratio of probability of 5 plus 4 plus 5?
See, I say what is the idea behind that is, I know what is the value of 4 and 6, right? I
Okay.
don't know what is the value of 5, but I know ratio of 4 plus 6 and 5. So why not to take the ratio, because it would give me some relationship between these things, right? So if you talk
Right.
about this equation, this is only unknown. Probability of here it should be 6, yeah, that's a small error. Probability of 5, it's only unknown. This is known, this is known, right? So just to figure out what is the value of probability of 5, basically using 4 and 6.
Okay, okay. I just like they're looking like why we have used two times. Like, no problem.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
See, actually, I admit it, because I have made it very difficult. Because if I were to solve this right now, then what
Uh-huh.
I would have done is, okay, probability of 4 and 6, it's nothing but x by 3, so it's 2x by 3. So it's
Right.
75%, this is 25%, right? So it's nothing but a third of this, right? One third of it.
1
So
by
one
3.
third, if I take one third, it would be 2x by 9, right?
Okay.
So 2x by 9 plus 2x plus 3, simple. 8x by, okay, 3, and then do so 8x by 9, just put x equal to 1.9, it's solved, right? But I don't know, like at that time I wanted to make it very detailed, just like a textbook. Correct. Any doubt,
Thank
any more doubt, guys? That's why I told you, if you solve it right now, it will feel like very small problem, but I don't know why I make it very big. Okay, let's take next example. And this solution is like literally, I don't want to comment. I take to understand. Consider a company that assembles computers. Great. The probability of a faulty assembly of any computer is P. Just a second. Okay. So the success event is nothing but faulty assembly. Yeah? It can be anything. You can think of any probability as success. So the faulty assembly probability is P. That's fine. The company therefore subjects each computer to a testing process. This testing process gives the correct result for any computer with the probability Q. Right? So, what is the probability of a computer being declared faulty? Right? So, what they are saying is, if I have like 100 computer, the probability that computer is faulty is P. Right? So, P computer would be faulty. 100 minus P won't be. Right? Now, I am doing some kind of a testing on the assembly, right? Hardware testing basically, and that test process is nothing but it will find out the correct result with the probability Q, right? So, out of all these P computers that are faulty, the Q, like probability that only Q% or you can say Q% would be correctly identified, right? So, out of this P correct computer, correct. let's say working and faulty, W and F. W and F. So how many would be classified as the working condition? Q, right? Because this is giving me like with the correct result in the Q percent probability, right? So PQ out of this PQ would be working in condition, and it will say P into 1 minus Q as faulty, right? 1 minus Q as faulty. I guess I am doing some kind of a mistake. So correct result, that means to identify the faulty, no? I guess I'm doing kind of a mistake. So out of P is faulty. Okay, okay, okay. What I made a mistake is now I understand. So this P is faulty, no? So the correct classification would be PQ, right? Faulty piece is classified as faulty PQ, and incorrect P1 minus Q is working. Now these 100 and minus P are working condition, right? So the correct result is nothing but 100 minus P, or you can take 1 minus P also if you prefer percentage. Sorry, not percentage, but the that floating value. So 1 minus P out of 1 minus P computer, uh, Q percent would be classified correctly, right? So this was working and it's classified as working. But 1 minus P into the error probability, 1 minus Q would be classified as faulty. And so how many faulty computer we have? PQ plus 1 minus P, 1 minus Q. So PQ 1 minus P, where it is? A is the answer, right? Any doubt? Right, so this computer P percent or probability of P is faulty, 1 minus P not faulty. This faulty will be classified correctly with the Q percent, you can say accuracy or probability, right? So P classified correctly, that is nothing but faulty, its probability is Q. So PQ is faulty, okay, P into 1 minus Q. No faulty, there is no fault, working condition would be classified correctly, no faulty, with the probability Q. Right, so this test result will classified only Q percentage no faulty and 1 minus Q is faulty. So 1 minus P multiplied by 1 minus Q are faulty. So if you take sum of this faulty and this faulty, you will get the total computer that will be declared faulty. And the false positives would be, so this is not faulty but classified is not classified as faulty. Right, so these are nothing but the false positive results. Correct? This is cool. Faulty is classified as faulty, PQ. This is cool, but this was like working computer, but it is classified as faulty. Right? A boring one. Let's take next example. What's the probability that the divisor of 10 to the power 99 is the multiple of 10 to the power 96? So for this, we need to take one theory. Just a second. So given this thing, so this is the background, okay? Given number n, any random number I am given, I want to find out number of all the possible factor, right? How many factors it can have, like that, correct? So it is like it is given by this formula. So if I take the prime factors of given number, a to the power m, b to the power n, c to the power p, d to the power q, like that. So a, b, c, d are nothing but the prime numbers, and a to the power m, b to the n is nothing but the prime factors of this given number n. Now, number of possible factors for this given number n is given by m plus 1 into n plus 1 into p plus 1 into d plus 1, q plus 1, r plus 1, like that. Right? So let's take for a small example. If I take number 14, so the prime factorization would be 2 to the power 1, 7 to the power 1. So m plus 1, that's nothing but 1 plus 1, 2, and n plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2. So 2 multiplied by 2, 4. So there are 4 factors, possible factor of 14. And yes, it's true. It's nothing but 1, 2, 7, and 14. Correct? Let's take one more example. Let's take 100. You can take any damn number and verify this formula, right? Or you can say the trick. So if I take 100, the prime factorization would be 2 into 2, sorry, 2 to the power 2 and 5 to the power 2, 2 square, 5 square. So number of possible factor is nothing but 2 plus 1, 3 into 2 plus 1, 3. 3 into 3, 9. Yes, there are 9 factors. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 50, 5 array. I guess I missed one. No, no, okay, it's 9 only, right? 20, 25, 5, 50, and 100, right? Now we will use this thing to solve this problem. So what's the problem? What they are asking is, what is the probability that the divisor of 10 to the power 99 is multiple of 10 to the power 96, right? So 10 to the power 99, the divisor, right? So I need to factorize something like this: 10 to the power 4 multiplied by 10 to the power 96. So it should be divisor of 10 to the power 96, right? So sorry, it should be multiple of 10 to the power 96, and it should divide this 10 to the power 99. Right? So how can we solve that? It's now very trivial that 10. So it the number to be like multiple of 10 to the power 96. It should be 10 to the power 96 multiplied by 1, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, like that. Right? That's nothing but what I'm saying is it's multiple of 10 to the power 96. Table of 10 to the power 96. Right? So what I've done is I just wrote 10 to the power 99 as 10 to the power 96 multiplied by 10 cube. Right now I can't touch this because it should be multiple of this, and it should divide 10 to this number, right? 10 to the power 99, 10 power 99. Okay, I will say that. Now what I need to do is what I need to do is I just need to find out like how many ways I can factorize this 1000, right? 10 to 10 cube is nothing but 1000, right? So how many factors I can have out of it, right? So there are nothing but 16 factors. 3 is nothing but, so what is that? N plus 1 into n plus 1. So 3 plus, so 10 to the power 3 is written like this: 2 cube and 5 cube. So m is 3, n is 3. So 3 plus 1, 4 into 3 plus 1, 4. So there are 16 factors. And what that would be: 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 100, like that, right? 1000, 500. So there would be 16 factors, right? And I'm multiplying with the 10 to the power 96, so it's multiple of that, and it will definitely divide this thing because I am factorizing it basically. So there are 16 factors which are multiple of this thing, 10 power 96, and it is divisor of 10 power 99. Okay, so favorable outcome I know. How many total outcome I have? So how many divisors that this 10 power 99 have? Right, so now it's really easy to calculate. Just prime factor, take the prime factor. So prime factor would be 2 power 99 and 5 power 99. So how many factors I have? 99 plus 100, 99 plus 100. So 100 multiplied by 100, I have factor 10000. The maths will work out and we will get 1 over 625 as the answer. Any doubt? This formula is crucial to know. If we don't know, we can't solve this, right? Uh, okay. Any doubt, guys, or should I go forward? Next question. Okay, if two fair coins are flipped and at least one of the outcome is known to be a head, what is the probability that both outcomes are head? Right? Two coins are getting flipped. That's cool. And what they are saying is one of the outcome. One is ahead, right? Either on first or either on second coin, right? What is the probability that both outcomes are head? One is head, that's given, right? It's for sure. Now, what's the probability that on my second coin I get head, right? That we need to calculate. So, there are, see, now this can be solved like in two ways. First, if I am tossing two coins, there are four outcomes, right? HH, HT, and TH, right? And now they are saying is one of the outcome is head for sure. So either it can be this case, or this case. So total is three. Total outcomes are three, right? So this three basically. This cannot be there because I have tail and tail. Now what they are saying is, what's the probability that another one is also head? That means two heads. So it is just one event's favorable event. So it's 1 by 3. As simple as that. right? 1 by 3. Sorry for the doodle, but I guess you got the idea, right? There is no need to use this kind of a formula or anything. Why the monster is this? This is not monstrous question. Any doubt, guys? Or you want to see the formula? So the formula is simple. Probability A given B. A is nothing but one of the coin is head, and B is nothing but one of the coin is head. Right? It's like they are asking that, right? So what they are saying is, what is the probability that one of the coin is head, given one of the coin is head? Right? It may sound crazy, but that's what they are asking. The other coin basically. Here we have two coins, right? So you can write something like this: first coin and second coin, like that. There is no problem in it. Uh, but it will change like all the framing. Then you'll argue it would be two one by two. But that's why I just use this kind of a terminology. So it's A intersection B, probability of B. So probability of B is nothing but one of the coin is head. It's 3 by 4. A intersection B, that both coin are head, right? So it's just 1 by 4. So that way also you'll get the same answer. But this is, I guess, very intuitive and easy to understand that if one of the coin is head, then what's the probability that another is head also? So it's nothing but 1 out of 3. So it's 1 upon 3. Make sense? Let's take one more example. A deck of 5 cards, each carrying distinct number from 1 to 5, is shuffled thoroughly. Okay, we have just 5 cards and we are shuffling it. Great. 2 cards are then removed one at a time from the deck. Right, so I will take one card, then I will take second card. Cool. What is the probability that the 2 cards are selected with the number on the first card being one higher than the number on the second card? Right. So on the first card, if I have two, on the second card it should be one. Right. So from this, it is for sure I cannot choose one on my first attempt. Right, because I cannot choose zero. There is no zero, something like that. Right. There is no zero. So the total outcomes are nothing but okay. Well, what was the question? Sorry, I just okay. What is the probability? Okay, that's the probability they are asking. Great. So let's calculate how many ways, like favorable ways, we have. So on the first card, I cannot have one, right? Because then second card it should be zero, right? So first card is one greater than second card. So 2 1 I can have, 3 2 I can have, 4 3 I can have, 4 5 4. Right? Only four ways, right? Four favorable ways. Okay, let's calculate the total number of ways now. So on the first attempt, I have 5 options left, right? So I can choose any one of them: one, two, three, 4, or 5. One card is gone, just 4 are remaining. So I have now 4 ways. So 5 into 4, 20 permutations basically. And if you want to use the formula, I have no problem. 5p2, you can use the formula also. N factorial divided by n minus r factorial. 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial. Right, so you'll get the same answer. 120 divided by 6 is nothing but 20. Correct? So 4 divided by 20. So 4 are favorable ways out of 20 ways. So it's nothing but 1 by 5 or 20% probability if they are asking for the probability. Okay, 1 by 5 is the answer. Easy? Yeah. First time I'm liking this solution. Question number 31. Great. Four fair six-sided dice are rolled. Okay, the dice is fair. The probability that sum of the result being 22 is x divided by 12 to 96. The probability is given x divided by 12 to 96. What is the value of x? So what they are asking is, what is the probability that sum of the results is being 22? Right? So there are six dice, guys. So how will you find out there are only two, like this, two ways? Right? How can you find out this? Right? It's not easy to find out. So let's take example that which total says total ways are easy to calculate. Is 6 to the power 4 12 9 6. Okay. Now the main question: how can we find out these two combinations? Right? So the sum is 22, right? Sum is 22. So can I choose one, two, or three on first dice? Let's take the highest one first. Let's take three. So let's say on first dice, I got three. So is it possible to make the sum 22 out of this three dice? No. If I take like let's say maximum six, six, and six, so they are done. No, how many? How much we have? Then 21, right? So 21, one less than 22. So I cannot have three, right? Because even after getting all the maximum values on the rest of the tries, I cannot make it up to 22. So 3 is not an option. So 2 is not an option, and 1 is also not an option, right? So I cannot have either 1, 2, or 3. So I can have either 4, 5, or 6. Yes or no? So if I take 4, how many are remaining? 22 minus 4 is nothing but 18. So to get 18, I need to have 6, 6, and 6. Okay, this is the one set that I get 3, 6, and 1, 4. Right? And what they are saying is four fair six-sided dice are rolled. Right? So I'm not rolling it one by one. I'm rolling it directly. Now, there's the possibility that I get 5 here. So it's how many are remaining? 17. So 17 I can get in just one way: 6, 6, and 5. Or 5, 6, 6. 6, 5, 6. Okay. And if I get 6 on the first roll, then I can have either 4, 6, 6, or 5, 6, 5, like that, right? So if I get 4, 6, 6, so it's nothing but the repetition basically. Right? So 4, 6, 6 is repetition. See, 3 times 6, 1 time 4. So out of doing, like after doing all this exercise, I know there are just two ways: 3 times 6, 1 time 4, or 2 times 6, 2 times 5. So there are just two sets, right? 4 times 6 and 2 times 6, 2 times 5, right? So how, and this, like how many ways I can have this thing. So here, like it was trivial, this and these are similar, right? 4, 6, 6, 4. So but the 4 can be at 1, 2, 3, or 4 place, right? 4 can be here also, here also, here also, here also, right? So there are 4 factorial divided by 3 factorial, because 6 are repeating, so 3 factorial I'm dividing. So there are 4 permutation of this. And if you take this, there are 6 permutation. It's nothing but 4 factorial divided by 6 is repeating 2 times, so 2 factorial. 5 is repeating 2 times, so 2 factorial again. So you get the 6, you can say, possible ways to arrange this, guys, right? So total favorable ways is nothing but 10, and the number of total ways that we already figured out, uh, how to remove this, is nothing but 6 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 6, 12, 9, 6. So what they've given is probability is x divided by 12, 9, 6, and the probability that we calculated is 12, 10 divided by 12, 9, 6. So what's the value of x? X is nothing but 10. Any doubt, guys? Because this was the like hardest exercise that we need to do. That find out like how many ways we can get 22, right? Because if you see the solution, then it's trivial. I have just two ways, right? Two things. Just two ways I can have 22. But the logical thinking should start from what's the possibility? Like, can I make it 22 if I get one on first time? No. Two? No. Three? No. Four? Yes. So find out like four, then what's remaining? Six, six, six. If I get five, then I can have like 6, 5, 5 also. Sorry, 6, 5, 6 also, right? So from that you find out these two sets. Just find out how many ways you can shuffle them. That's nothing but the permutation. Total number of ways are 10. So x is nothing but 10. Okay. Can we should we take next question? I guess we should take just 1 minute of break, and then we will continue, guys. Okay. How to? That PDF is shared, guys. That question PDF, because those questions were good. Like there were just six questions, but each question was good, except that point four, that set question. Okay, let's start the next question. The probability that a given positive integer lying between 1 and 100, both inclusive, cool, is not divisible by 2, 3, or 5. Great. So, if you have like time left, just write all the 1 to 100, cross all the numbers with 2, cross all the numbers division by 3 on the table of 3, cross all the numbers on table of 5, right? And find out like how many are remaining. 26 would be remaining, right? So it's nothing but 26 by 100. But if we don't have time, then how can we solve that? So there are like a formula. You can use the formula. You can use the simple logic or common sense also. So let's see how we can solve that. So the number should not be like divisible by 2, 3, or 5, right? So first it seems easy. Like how many numbers are there that is not divisible by 2? So it's nothing but 50 numbers are there, right? Okay. So 50 are gone, 50 are remaining. How many number are divisible by 3? 33, 3 to 99, right? So 33 numbers are there. So it's gone, right? So 33 is also gone. So 50 and 33 are gone. How many numbers are there divisible by 5? So 20 numbers are there. So if I sum it all, it is like greater than 100. 5 is not with us, 103. So there is some problem, right? So what is the problem? That out of this 50, some numbers are divisible by 3 and divisible by 5 also. Out of this 33 numbers, some numbers are divisible by 2, some numbers are divisible by 5. And out of all these 20 number, some numbers are divisible by 2 and 3, or both, right? So we need to identify the unique number, or you can say union basically, right? Union set, that it's not repeating. So how can we solve that now? Right? So if I draw a simple set, it will look something like this. That number is divisible by 2, 3, and 5. Right, let me write it. This is divisible by 2, 3, and 5. And we want to find out all out of this 3, right? Not divisible by 2, 3, or 5. Now, what will happen? Out of 50 number, some would be divisible by 3, and some would be divisible only by 5. So, 2 and 5. So, what this area represent is divisible by 2 and 3 only, not by 5. This means 2 and 5 only, not by 3. 3 and 5 only, not by 2. And this area, 2, 3, and 5, everything. Right? So, let's try to solve it in different way because I wanted to. So, how many numbers I have that are divisible by 2, 3, and 5? All three. Anyone? Let's make it interactive because I don't know like why I'm feeling something like that. I'm recording the session and not this is an interactive session. Hello. Can anyone please unmute and tell me like what numbers would be there here? Like divisible by 2, 3, and 5. All three between 1 and 100. Hello. Hello. Am I audible, guys?
Yeah. Okay, loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, so can anyone please answer me like how many numbers are divisible by all three, 2, 3, and 5 between 1 and 100? At least try, guys. This is not the final exam. Okay, so say if it is divisible by 2, 3, and 5, everything, so it should be something like this 2, 3, 5 multiplied by x. It is divisible by this, no? So it should be divisible by 3 is 30, right? If number is divisible by 30, that means it's divisible by 2, 3, and 5. So how many numbers are there that is divisible by 30 in 1 and 100? Now anyone?
30, 30,
3, right?
3,
30, 60, and 90.
90.
Okay. Now let me know how many numbers are divisible by 2 and 3. So it's nothing but 6. How many numbers are there that are divisible by 2 and 3 or 6?
6,
So it will start at 6, then 12, then up to
80, yeah, 60.
huh? Anyone? It's 93, no. Check about this soul section, no. Huh? 16, 6 does 96, no.
96.
So up to 96. So there are nothing but 1 to 16. So there are 16 numbers. But 3 are here, right? So here the number would be 13, right?
Uh-huh.
Because 13 plus 3 is 16. So 16 numbers are divisible. So this is total 16, 2 and 3. But this 3 counted here, right? That 30 is divisible by 2, 3 and 5 also. 60 and 90 is already there. So remaining 30 I just wrote here, right? Now let's do this. So how many numbers are divisible by 3 and 5 now? 3 5 ja 15, huh? 3 and 5, 6. Yes, someone is giving the answer in chat. Yes, Dinesh, you're right. 6, right? So 3 is already written there. So I will write 3 here. Now, how many numbers are divisible by 2 and 5? So total 10. So 10 minus 3, 7 I have. Now, let me know how many numbers are divisible only by 2. Only by 2. So it's 50. Correct? 50 numbers are divisible by 2. So 13 plus 7, 20 plus 23 are gone. So I just have 27 here. Any doubt? So the Davis, yes. So how many numbers are divisible by 3? 33, right? So tan and then so so order 18 are gone, right? Tan and then so sorry. Oh, 19 are gone, na? Okay, out of 33, 19 are gone. So how many are remaining? 24. No, 14, no? 14. Correct? Now, for 5, how many numbers do I have? 20, right? So out of 20, 7 10 13 13 14 7 13. So 7 are remaining only, right? Now I can calculate all the numbers. The 27 plus 14 plus 13, 7 3 3 7, and it will sum up to 74, right? So only 26 are outside of this, which is not divisible by 2, 3 or 5. So the probability is nothing but 0.26. Right? So this is the, you can say, shortest way to solve this, and intuitive also, that you there is less chance to make a mistake. Correct? Now let's see this by how can you solve this using a formula, right? So if you want to, what we need to find out is A union B union C dash complement basically, right? So what is A union B union C? That is divisible by 2 or 3 or 5. So we need to find out not divisible by 2, 3, 5. Right? So I'm just taking the complement, or you can say negative, not operation. So it's 1 minus this probability of A union B union C. The formula of A union B union C is A plus B plus C. A intersection B, B intersection C, A intersection C plus A intersection B intersection C. I have not written P everywhere, probability of A, probability of B. Instead, I just wrote directly ABC intersection B like this. Correct? Now, probability of A we know, like divisible by 2, 50 by 100, divisible by 3, 33 by 100, divisible by C. Sorry, 3, so 5, 5, sorry. 20 by 100. So this is gone, this is gone, this is gone. This we know. Let's try to find out A intersection B, divisible by 2 and 3 both. So 16 divided by 100, multiple of 6 basically. Now I am saying B intersection C, that is 3 and 5 both. So it's multiple of 15. So 15 6 the 90. I can go up to 90. So it's 6 divided by 100. A intersection C, that is divisible by 2 and 5, multiple of 10. So I have 10 multiples, 10 numbers, right? 10 to 100, 10 by 100. Now last term, A intersection B intersection C, multiple of 2, 3 and 5, everything. So it's nothing but 5 2 ja 10, 3 ja 30. So multiple of 30, 3 divided by 100. Now if you put all this scrap, all this answer into this big scrap, big formula, then you get the same answer. Correct? Point 26. Any doubt, guys? Because this is kind of like mixing aptitude and probability and making some not, you can say, ugly tequila kind of thing. Okay. Let's take one more. Next thing. Next question. What they are saying is, okay, now it is easy. Cool. Let S be a sample space. This is crap. This solution is I don't know. They directly wrote that if the maximum would be at 1 by 2, but they have not derived it, right? So let's see. Let S be the sample space and two mutually exclusive events A and B such that A union B equal to S. Correct? If P denotes the probability, just a second, yes. uh, where I goes, P denotes the probability of the event. The maximum value of PA multiplied by PB is what, right? So what they've given is A and B are constructing the sample space as A union B is one, and or basically you can say A union B is sample space, right? They are asking what is the maximum value of A multiplied by B, probability of A multiplied by probability of B. What is the maximum value? Right. So to find out the maximum value, we can use what we can use to find out the maximum value. Anyone? Calculus, right? That first differentiation. So let's see it in the action. So the probability of A, that is x, then what is the probability of B? 1 minus x. Simple, because both are equaling, like the sum of them are equal to 1. Right. Now we need to find out the maximum value of this function, and that function is nothing but multiplication of A and multiplication of B, probability, basically, right? Probability of A multiplied by probability of B. So the function will look something like this: x multiplied by 1 minus x is x minus x square. So let's take the first derivative, f dash x. It's nothing but derivation of x is 1 minus 2x, x square का होगा 2x. Now, now let's take the second derivative also. So second derivative is minus 2. So minus 2 is less than 0. That means there is a maxima, right? Local or global, whatever it is. There is a maxima when f dash equal to 0. So this has to be true, right? F dash x first derivation is 0 at the maxima or minima, and we confirm it, like if it is a maxima or minima, using the second derivative. So let's take f dash x equal to 0. So 1 minus 2x equal to 0. So x is equal to 1 by 2. So x is equal to 1 by 2. 1 minus 1 by 2 is also 1 by 2. So probability of A equal to probability of B equal to 1 by 2. Right? We, how can you directly give the answer? I don't know. That at P equal to PB equal to 1 by 2, it's maximum. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. When the sum is constant, product of two numbers become constant when they are equal. Great. I don't know. Okay. Next question. Okay, now this question will start slowly and steadily. It will start going to PDF and CDF route, right? A probability density function of interval. Do we have like heads and tails like that questions? So it's good to solve that first, then going to random variable. But let's take it. So just for a change. A PDF of a function on interval a to 1 is given by 1 by x square. That's fine. And the outside the interval, the value of the function is 0. So it's proper probability density function. The value of a is really easy question. Right? So what they are saying is Given a probability density function like this, anything you can take. I don't have any problem. Right? From A to 1 is something, it's given by 1 by x square. So definitely this graph will not look something like this, it will look something like this. 1 by x square, no? So 1 by x square. So it will look something like this. Right? At 1 it's 1. At A it's something like this. Right? A and this is 1. It's given by 1 by x square. Outside that it is 0. Now the area between this curve, below this curve, should be equal to 1. That's the definition of a PDF, right? If you take all the density of an object, then it is equal to the total mass, and total mass is nothing but, in case of probability, is 1. Right? Now, okay, let's solve this. Okay, so the integration from a to 1 of fx dx is equal to 1, the area between the curve of 1 by x square. So 1 by x square, what happened? Which key I press? 3, F3 or F5? Okay, where it is? Yes. So 1 by x square I can write in x to the power minus 2 also. Right? Why I have done that? Because x to the power n, I know this formula only. I don't know what to do of 1 by x square. So what I did is, the thing I did is, like, the trick is just converted into this form, x to the power n. Now I know, like, I just need to increase the power by 1 and divide by the power, like whatever the power I get here, n plus 1. Right? So x to the power minus 2 would be x to the power minus 2 plus 1 upon minus 2 plus 1. So x to the power minus 1 divided by minus 1. So it's nothing but minus 1 by x, or x to the power minus 1, if you prefer this. Right? So the integration of x to the power minus 2 is minus 1 by x from limit a to 1 should be equal to 1. So if I put 1 here, then it is nothing but minus 1 minus 1 then raised to minus 1. So it's nothing but minus 1 only, plus a, plus a, it's actually minus, then minus minus plus, this minus is also there. So minus minus plus a to the power minus 1. Right? A to the power minus 1 is nothing but 1 by a. So this 1 will come here, it will be 2, then a goes there, 2 comes here, 1 by 2 is nothing but 0.5. Okay, any questions? So this was the simple formula that you can think of out of the PDF. The thing that we need to remember is, the area under the PDF is always equal to 1, the total probability basically. Correct? Okay. Next. Okay. Consider the following experiment. Step 1, flip a fair coin twice. Okay, I am tossing a coin 2 times. Okay, so I have 4 outcomes. If the outcomes are tail and head, then output y and stop. So output would be y and stop. Okay, experiment is over. If not, okay, step number 3, if the outcomes are either head tail, HH or HT, then output n and stop. Okay, so experiment is over. So if the outcomes are tails and tails, then go to step 1. Again toss a coin 2 times. Right? If tail and head are there, or headed or head tails are there, we are outputting y or n, then we are stopping. The probability that the output of the experiment is y. Okay, so output should be y only, right? So this step 3 we cannot go there. Why? Because if we go there, then the output would be end and we will stop the experiment. Right? So if there is no experiment, how can we get the y? So this step 3 we cannot go there. Right? Okay, with this data, let's try to solve this. Okay, so if HH and HT output and stop, we cannot go here, right? So that's the simple cross mark. We cannot go here, right? Okay, there is a cross mark here. If it is tail and head, then output Y and stop. Okay, that's fine. If it is tail and tail, go to first step, then repeat the experiment, right? So on the second time, I can get tail and head, then output Y and stop. But it is also possible that I get again tail and tail, then again go to again toss the coin two times. Again, if I get tail and tail, repeat. If I again tail and tail, repeat. If I get tail and head, output Y and stop. Right? That's what we want. Right? So this is nothing but the infinite series, right? That's nothing but on the first try you get tail and head. That's nothing but output Y and stop. Okay. It is possible that I get on the second try. Then it's nothing but first I get TNT. Again I toss the coin, get tail and head. So what's the probability? So what's the probability that I get it on first try? It's 1 by 4. Right? Out of 4, I get tail and heads is 1 by 4. Second try, that means tail and tail head. So it's 1 by 4 into 1 by 4. Third try, 1 by 4, 1 by 4, that's nothing but TNT. And on the third try, I get tail and head, T and H. Then again, 1 4 1 4 1 4 1 4 like this. So this is the, you can say, infinite geometric progression with A equal to 1 by 4 and R equal to 1 by 4. Right, second term divided by first term, that way you get the R. If the value of R is less than 1, then we use this formula of Sn equal to A divided by 1 minus R. So A is 1 by 4, R is 1 by 4, 1 by 4 divided by minus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 4 is 1 by 3. So the answer is 0.33333. So zero point 0.3 bar. Any questions? Any doubt? Okay. Let's take next question then. I guess maybe the last one for today, or do we have any cool questions? Okay, maybe the last one for today for from this asset or this thing. Then we will take some questions from mid-sem exam. Right? Question number 36. Two people P and Q decide to independently roll a dice twice. Okay, two identical dice, not twice, two identical dice, each with six faces. Thanks for letting us know that dice is six faces. Number 1 to 6. Huh. The person with the lower number wins. Okay, not fair. In case of a tie, they roll the dice repeatedly until there is no tie. So this is again, there would be some kind of a infinite series also. Or let's see. Define a trial as a throw of dice by P and Q. Okay, cool. Assume that all six numbers on each dice are equiprobable and that all trials are independent. Huh. The probability rounded up to three decimal place that one of them wins on the third trial. Okay, so this is not the infinite series. They are stopping us on the third trial. So what they are saying is on the third trial one should win, right? That means there should be tie on first and there should be tie on second. You can say thing, second try. Then in only someone can win on third try, right? If someone wins on first trial, then there would be nothing like a third trial, right? They will stop because if someone wins, they stop, right? So what we need to find out is on trial 1 there should be tie, trial 2 there should be tie, and on trial 3 one should win, right? So in how many ways there could be tie? There are total 36 outcomes. That's trivial, right? Two dice. So how many ways there could be tie? 1 1, 2 2, 3 3, 4 4, 5 5, and 6 6. So there are six ways there could be tie. 6 divided by 36, 6 divided by 36. And how many ways there cannot be a tie? That means someone will win. P win or Q win wins. I don't care. So there are 30 ways. How? What are they? One, then two, three, four, five, six. Two, then one, three, four, five, six. Not two, right? Two is tie. Three, then one, two, four, five, six. So there are total 30 ways. Right? Just removing all the tie, the ways that can be a tie. So if we calculate this thing, you get the answer 0.023. Simple questions. Yes. Now, continuous probability function between e to bits. So this is the simple theoretical question. Do we have any more questions on dice and rolling a dice and like that? Question 40 has nothing to do with this thing, distribution or something. We can take it up, but let's take the mid-sem question paper for a change. Okay. Mm. Okay, let me just take the correct answer now. Up to question 10 we covered, right, yesterday, if I'm not wrong. 11, yes, the restaurant, appetizer and main course and everything. Okay, so up to question 11 we discussed. Question 12 is again dependent on distributions and thing. Question 13, good question. Okay, given that the probability that it rains on Saturday is 25%, right? So on Saturday it rains is 25%, right? I might not be able to solve it if if it's unknown question. I take some time, right? So let's see. If it rains on Saturday, okay. If it rains on Saturday, that it rains on Sunday is 50%. So the probability of Sunday given Saturday, so say it's 50%. Cool, right? If it does not rain on Saturday, okay, if it does not rain on Saturday, that it rains on Sunday is 25%. So probability that it rains on Sunday given it doesn't rain on Saturday, so Saturday complement is 25%. So this is given, right? Okay. Given that it rained on Sunday. Okay, so Sunday it rained, it is given, the condition is given. What is the probability that it rained on Saturday? So what is the probability that it rained on Saturday, right? So say most of the time whatever we need to find out, the reverse probability would be there given. Saturday given Sunday we need to find out, and Sunday given Saturday is already there, right? So directly we can jump onto the bias without wasting a much time. So I will write formula here, that probability Saturday given Sunday is nothing but probability Sunday given Saturday multiplication of probability of Saturday. It is also given, see, every time the monster, the problem, or you can say the last stage, the boss, right? If you are playing video game, the boss is nothing but this thing. Probability on this is a Sunday, right? Sunday given Saturday is 50%, so this is zero point 0.5 that we know already, and this is 0.25 that we already know, right? 25% is 0.25. The probability that it rain on Sunday, how can we find that, right? So this is the total probability that it will rain on Sunday. It is given, no. So what we have is, and how many ways like you can think of like this probability that it rain on Sunday, like what are the dependent you can say events, or that event that is covering the sample space, or we need to consider the conditions. Anyone? You can also think see the data also. And if you don't remember anything, just use the bias formula, that third formula, third or second, I don't know. That A given B into probability of B divided by probability of A given B, probability of B plus probability of A complement, A given B complement into probability of B complement. Right? So if I use that formula, then probability of Sunday I can write in this way: probability of Sunday given it rain on Saturday multiplied by probability it rain on Saturday plus probability of Sunday given it didn't rain on Saturday, A complement. If you remember that formula, probability of A complement, Saturday complement, right? So at that time also I mentioned that if you don't know the probability of B, you can this use this formula if you just know the probability of A. So that's the beauty of this formula, right? And this is repeating. See, SU. So first part is trivial. Zero point 0.5 plus 0.25, not plus. Sorry, multiply. Then plus a Sunday given Saturday complement is already given. See, 0.25. It was waiting for us to be used. And what is the probability of Saturday complement? Anyone? I know it's easy, but I want to keep you awake. So it's 0.75, right? Still, no one is answering. Strange. So right. So this is true. Zero point 0.5 into 0.25. Here I have some term. Here I have some term. If you do the multiplication and division, see, this is the exact that we have got. Right. Let me compare it. 50, 25, 25, 50, 75, 25. 75 ne 25. Cool. So we get the 40%. Right. If you work out the math, you will get the zero point 0.4. It's nothing but 40%. Right. Saturday. Any questions, guys? Any doubt? Right. Also, we saw like one problem today, that poet and that thing. I guess it was asked like in exam or something. Somewhere like I saw that introvert and that question, poet and something was that. Do we have any more questions? Assume that the spice adds 40 ml of water. Okay. This was based on that Poisson distribution. Digital measuring device. Okay. This was again Poisson distribution. This was asked in today's session also. Same question. This questions was also repeating that in today's session we saw this, right. Question number 26 and 27. That jail belongs to a populations of poets and comedians. So there are only two ways. One gem 10 75 exact repetition. Does anyone has any like have any doubt? Any doubt, guys, for this question? This was solved like in today's live session. Anyone wants to solve this right now? Anyone? Hello.
I think we can skip it.
Okay, let's keep that. Then just last three we have. Okay, PCA. Great. This is based on this CDF value. So definitely we will take it after taking some examples of PDF and CDF. Okay, so I guess we are done with all the probability questions, right? From the midsem as well as this document. Where it is. Just a second, I guess I missed it. This one. Right, so up to question 36 we have solved. Now everything will start using those PDF and CDF formulas, right? So uh, before jumping into that, please read those formulas. What is the meaning of that PDF and CDF is, right? And then and only we would be able to solve these problems. And there would be some problems basically based on like specifically based on that expectation value, E of x and this thing I'm talking about, right? And some based on the variance, that variance x, the expectation of x square minus mu square. Okay. Uh, so it's 11, guys. So should we start this new topic or tomorrow? What do you feel? Should we start this thing or should we start it tomorrow? Because like yeah, number wise we are good. We have just
We can
like
take it tomorrow because it is a new topic and also
and
it won't serve us
tomorrow
our
would be
exam.
the second last day. So Friday and Saturday, just we have just two sessions left. So we would be conveniently finish this, easily finish this. Right, 36 is done. So how many are remaining? So then 17 are only remaining, right? So 17 we can take like in 2 days. 17 plus some five or six problems for midterm. So just 25 questions we need to cover in 2 days,
Okay,
right? And if time permits, we will take some questions from that Geeks for Geeks from those 100 questions.
sure.
Okay. But guys, can we just take like 5 or 10 minutes and just I try to I will try to explain what is the meaning of CDF basically, right? So I will just take like more 5 or 10 minutes. I know like you all are addicted up to 11:30, so there won't be a problem, right? So what is the meaning of CDF basically, right? So for all this formula, the theory that we need to consider is okay, now this is just a second. Let me take the this is like whiteboard for me. Cool. So the formula, the CDF. What is the meaning of CDF? Right? Given any problem, what they will ask is that given this kind of a random distribution, right? It could be Poisson distribution, exponential distribution, XYZ distribution. What they will ask is like, what is the probability that you get more than two calls per an hour, right? So more than two calls per an hour, let's take the random variable x, that's nothing but the calls per an hour. What they will ask is what's the probability that you will get two, like more than two calls in given hour, right? So always remember CDF or capital F is defined something like this: capital X less or equal to, always remember this. Let me take one example for 4. L x is less than or equal to small x. So to avoid the confusion, I will use L or limit. L we can use, right? So CDF is always about x great less than or equal to L, and what x CDF is representing is something like this. So given that this CDF, if CDF is nothing like let's say 50%, so what is the meaning of 50% or 60%? That the all the values, and this is nothing but my L, right? Limit L. So the value of x, my random variable x, or the number of calls I'm getting, or the high value of height, number of errors, or anything. The random variable can be anything. So the random variable is less than or equal to L is given by the CDF, right? So this is nothing but f of x, right? So all this value basically, and this we are getting from PDF. We are just taking the sum of this area, this area, this area, this area, this area up to L. So if you sum up all this area, this is equal to this 60%, right? It should be somewhere here to have to be it 60% to be precise, right? This is L, right? So this is PDF, this is CDF. So if they are asking what's the probability that I will get my value of X, number of calls, number of accident is less than or equal to, right? Or at max 3. That means 3, 2, or 1. Then you can directly apply the CDF formula. What is the f of x less than or equal to L? Whatever the formula you have. Right, in case of cos or lambda to power something 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 e to the power minus lambda, that, like that, right? You can apply that. But if they ask what is the possibility that I get the accident more than 4, right? 4 or more than 4, right? At least 4. Then don't put something like this 1 minus. Then we know like if the less than or equal to I can find out with CDF. then I just take 1 minus whatever the answer I get, right? So the main thing that you need to remember is you need to take 3 here. You cannot take 4 here. Why? What I'm saying is I need to have the value of 4, 5, 6, 7, or greater than that, right? So if x is less than or equal to 4, I cannot take x less than or equal to 4 here. That means what I'm saying is, give me the probability, cumulative probability, that x is less than or equal to 3. That means 1, 2, or 3. So I am just taking the minus, or taking the less, like take out of 100% probability. What I'm doing is, they are asking this thing, this area they are asking, right? Greater or equal to 4 they are asking. The L is nothing but 4 here, right? So I need to take the minus of this for this area. Now this 4 is included on the right hand side, say greater or equal to 4. So this 4 is included on the right hand side. That's why I cannot have it on the left hand side. So I need to put x less than or equal to 3. That this mistake I do, like to solve that Ronaldo and Messi question, right? Because I was not there like in the session, so I don't know like how to solve that. Then I was trying, but this mistake I made basically. I just take x less than or equal to 4 and take the 1 minus whatever the answer is there. Right? So don't do this. Just observe it. If they are saying greater than 4, then you can take here less or equal to 4. So this is the simplest mistake or easiest mistake to make. Silly basically, right? So if they are saying greater or equal to greater than 4 only, then this 4 is basically this side, right? So this is the meaning of CDF. PDF they would be giving mostly in expectation formula, expectation thing, right? So the formula that we saw for expectation, just for a revision, for this formula is different for PMF, that is nothing but a discrete, and for PDF both the formula different. For PDF also it is different. Array, yeah. Okay, so if it is PMF or discrete random variable, then we will have like discrete value of x. Then what we need to do is to find out the ex. We just take the summation over x, all the possible value of x, right? The range can be 0 to 2, 0 to 10, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, right? Not that calculus range I'm talking about. X, whatever the value of x is, multiplied by the probability of x, right? So if x can take value 1, 2, 3, so 1 probability of 1, 2 probability of 2, 3 probability of 3, right? So if I ask you like that my random variable or my experiment is throwing a dice, so I have value, how many values I can have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can have this much of value, right? So what is the expected value of x? If I throw a dice, what is the expected value of x? Then how can you calculate? So put x 1 multiplied by probability of x 1 by 6 plus 2 probability of 2 1 by 6, 3 probability of 3 1 by 6, up to this. So it would be nothing but 1 by 6, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 by 6, right? So 7 7 21, right? So 21 by 6 would be the expected value. So it's nothing but mu also. It is also mean, correct? Now, what about the PDF? So in the PDF, so this is probability, right? In PMF you have the probability value, but in PDF you don't have the probability value. The function would be given, and we can't use the sigma anymore because it's PDF. It's a continuous value, right? All the values you need to take, all the infinite value. Then this bastard was invented, this integration, right? Take the integration over x. The limit can be anything, a to b, b to c, right? I'm just not writing the this thing, a to b, or rather I should write something like this, a to b, a to b, any range, right? A to b, f of x, small f of x multiplied by d of x. I just forgot to mention x into f of x dx. right? Let me confirm it, or can anyone please confirm? Like this is the formula x into fx dx, or have I made any mistake? Just need to open my notes and
Yes, correct.
confirm. Correct, no? X fx, no? Just not fx only, right? Still,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me confirm for my Atma ki Shanti. X fx dx, correct. अरे कैलेंडर बंद हो जा बस. हाँ, right. So what in this case the PDF? So fx is nothing but the PDF function, PDF only, probability density function. That would be given, right? That would be given. There is no worry. And value of x, you cannot put the value of x that we did in this thing, right? In case of PMF, you will put the value directly, 1 into probability 1, 2 into probability. We can do it, right? Because it's discrete. We know the value of x, but in this case you don't know the value of x, correct? And say we know, like if it is range in 1 to 6, then there are infinite value. I cannot write all the value. That's why we are using this integration, this thing, this great thing, a to b dx, right? Up to take the all the small parts of dx, take the sum of it. So it's the whole idea behind this thing, integration. And using this formula, you can directly find the e of x in case of PDF or continuous random variable basically. Now I guess the idea is clear. We will use those formula of Poisson distribution, mostly Poisson uniform, and what else? Uniform and Poisson mostly would be there, and there could be like other result distribution also. So better to prepare all the formulas, but these two are very useful. That Poisson and uniform distribution. Correct. I guess this theory is enough to start the tomorrow session. Correct. Let's see. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. And yes, it will take more time compared to probability questions. And if you find any good probability question, feel free to share. And we will try to solve it in session also if you still have any doubt. Okay. With that, let me stop the recording.